is the gentleman from California, Mr. Issa, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Strzok, you were part of the Hillary Clinton email investigation. That's correct?
Yes.
And in that investigation, you were part of the decision for her to and her lawyers to go through emails that were produced during, exclusively used, if you will, during her time as secretary, go through and determine which ones were government and which ones were not, both the classified and unclassified. Is that correct?
I was not.
You were not involved at all?
That's correct.
Okay, but you're aware of it?
I'm aware of their statements to us about how they did it.
And you think it was okay for Secretary Clinton to determine what could or couldn't qualify for her to turn in under the Federal Records Act?
I can't speak to that. That was a decision, my understanding, between her and her attorneys. And
okay, but you're aware that in her production she failed to deliver some items that have now been ruled as classified, correct?
I'm aware that we recovered information that was not in the material that she turned over. I don't know if it was her failure, the failure of the attorneys conducting that sort, or simply because she didn't have it. I don't know the answer to that question.
So I bring up something that came up in the previous rounds. So far, only you have determined what should be turned over from your private emails that, or your non-government emails and text, what should be delivered because it was government in nature. You've made that decision.
That's right.
And it's your position that nobody else in the way of a government entity should be able to look over your shoulder, so to speak, and make that decision.
That's right.
So you think it's okay for the target, and you are a target, of an investigation to determine what should be delivered rather than, if you will, the government, right?
Sir, I'm not aware of any investigation of which I'm a target. Well,
you're a target of our investigation. We think that you had a bias and you acted on it. And that's made pretty clear. So I'm going to just ask one series of questions very quickly, if I could. You did a number of texts. All of the texts that are presented to us, as far as I know, came from your government phone, correct?
I believe that to be the case, yes.
So you've made no text available from your private phone. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Did you ever text on your private phone?
I did.
Did you ever text Lisa Page on your private phone?
I did.
Did you ever text Lisa Page on your private phone similar text to the ones you did on your government phone?
By similar, you mean what?
Commenting on Mr. Trump or Hillary Clinton or anything else political in nature.
I don't specifically recall, but it's probably a safe assumption that yes, I did.
So it's likely that they'd be similar.
It's a safe assumption. I don't.
So your personal phone has likely similar text to the ones that we found on your government phone. That's correct?
I would say it has similar expressions of personal belief. Yes.
Okay. So in front of you have one sheet of paper that was presented to you a few minutes ago, and I'm going to just go to a date and then ask you to read your own words. March 4th, 2016.
You want me to read this?
Yes, please.
Yes, sir. OMG, he's an idiot.
May 4th, 2016.
Now the pressure really starts to finish MYE.
July 19th, 2016.
Hi, how was Trump other than a douche? Melania?
July 21st, 2016.
Trump is a disaster. I have no idea how destabilizing his presidency would be.
August 6th, 2016.
I don't believe I wrote this text, sir.
Okay, it's been attributed to you, so we'll go on to the next.
Incorrect.
August 8th, 2016. And I'll preface it by saying this for context. Ms. Page said, not ever going to become president, right? Right?
No, he's not. We'll stop it.
Repeat that again.
No, he's not. We'll stop it.
August 15th, 2016.
I want to believe the path you threw out for consideration in Andy's office, that there's no way he gets elected, but I'm afraid we can't take that risk. It's like an insurance policy in the unlikely event you die before you're 40.
On October 20th, 2016.
I can't pull away and I defer to the chairman whether
you can
or not
just use one letter if you don't mind.
What the F happened to our country, Lise?
Okay, read it again that way.
Sir, did you not, was it not intelligible?
You just
want to hear it for me to repeat it?
Please.
Okay, sir. Sure, happy to indulge you. I can't pull away. What the F happened to our country, Lise?
Why in the world do you believe that this committee should not ask for the record of similar text from your private account to find out what else you might have said about insurance policies or about the President of the United States or investigation? That is a rhetorical question. You need not answer, and I yield back.
Mr. Chairman, may I nonetheless answer?
You may respond briefly, even though he said it was a rhetorical question.
I appreciate that, Mr. Chairman. Congressman, what I think is critical, and I'm glad you brought up a lot of these because I would like to make the point that
I didn't bring them up. I just asked you to read your own words.
Sir, if I may, what is important is that these texts represent personal beliefs just like those that you'd find on my personal phone. What these texts do not represent is any act, any suggestion of an act, any consideration that we need to do this or not do this. And furthermore, I would encourage you, as I believe I forget who I said this to earlier this morning, you need to read these texts in the context of what was going on at the time. So when I make the comment about Trump having no idea how destabilizing his presidency would be, that came on the heels of a speech where then candidate Trump said he didn't know whether or not the United States should honor its commitment to mutual defense under NATO.
I appreciate that, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much. That's not briefly. Mr. Chairman, in light of these actual...
No.
Give him that opportunity.
Everyone will suspend. I told the gentleman he could answer briefly. He has answered briefly.
He has not finished answering.
We will now turn to the gentlewoman from Washington, D.C. for her questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.